Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to episode 2 of the YNOT and Shyway Show. We're finally back, our weekly Halo show. We're covering everything in Halo Esports, news, drama, whatever comes to mind, whatever's important, of course. I'm Shyway. I've got Tony with me. Tony, glad to have you back, my dude. How you been, man? You came off the NA Super. We had some casting over the weekend. We casted on Monday. I feel like we've been casting all week, man. How you doing? You tired? You getting your naps in?
Actually, I'm feeling good. Low key, I've been working out. I've been eating right. I've been doing everything. I've been doing everything right. So far, I'm feeling good. I have tons of energy, and I'm on about 2 yogurts right now. So it's about to go down. 2.
Is that how many is the usual? Is 2 the normal amount of yogurt, or is that like exceeding the yogurt limit for the day? What are we working?
I'm
with?
actually ashamed to say, like, when it comes to light yogurt, I'm not gonna. I eat like 4 or 5 of them a day. Like,
what?
I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I don't know. Like, I eat like one big meal, and then like the rest of the day is just yogurt.
Is it Greek yogurt? What kind of yogurt are we talking about?
Well, I usually do light yogurt, but I had ordered from, I got my order from Publix, and they didn't have any light yogurt, so I have a whole bunch of whole milk yogurt. So now I'm gonna stick to just 2 of those because it's like 200 calories per serving. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of calories for some yogurt. Gee,
I can't go heavy on the dairy. If I have too much like the whole milk yogurt, I'm feeling that. That's not coming out the other way so good. Greek yogurt though, that's clutch. That goes hard, right? Greek yogurt's is full of protein, low fat. Tony, if you're not on that grind, you're working out.
I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna give it a try. Last time I tried, I wasn't a fan, but you know, your taste buds, that was like a decade ago. My taste buds might have changed. I'll get a try for you.
It's not the base is not the greatest on its own. You got to mix the fruit and the jam and the cereal and everything. Put the granola in, have a good time with it. Just like this show, we got to put all the little bits and pieces together and tell you guys what's going on with Halo. We don't have a lot of time to do it as well. This is a 1-hour show. We speed through this thing. We've got our topics already on screen. Of course, we're covering the NA Super. We're covering KCP leaving Halo. If we got time, we'll talk about FNATIC, their roster changes as well. We also have a special guest appearance from G1 PreDevoNatoR coming on at the end of the show for 15 minutes. We're going to chat with G1, with him representing G1. We got to talk about G1 and just celebrate their accomplishment over the NA Super in general, Tony. But let's just start with the NA Super overall. Just thoughts on this tournament, because this was a hell of an event, right? I think we hit 60K concurrent watching on the main broadcast. Formal had like 10K watching towards the end. Just thoughts on the event overall.
I think the event was phenomenal. There was such a long break, seeming like, with at least when we've seen the pros from Kansas City over towards that major tournament being the online super, and there was so many changes that happened in between. Then you're talking about literally the top 14 of the top 16 squads going through a roster change, and this tournament was the first time we got to see, you know, the new looks, you know, the phases, the G2s, Uniteds, and everybody sporting out their new looks. I thought it was great, and it really opened some eyes to where teams are at as far as their improvement and you know, looking good, and what teams need to hit the drawing board and maybe you know, open up the playbook and widen it out a little bit.
Sure, some high highs and some low lows for some teams as well, right? An interesting tournament also, right? Because I don't remember the last time we've had 125K down for an online tournament. That's a big deal. And with not too much else going on kind of around it, this sort of became this like indirect HCS Houston tournament is what they're calling it, right? HCS Houston. We had to travel, or most teams traveled out to Texas so they could get the best possible connection. So while it was online, it was pretty stable. Felt like it was well ran, right? Like they got through all the games consistently. There were no big delays. Like I don't think I've ever seen an online tournament for Halo go so smoothly, Tony.
I'm right there with you. And you know what? I mean, at that point, they might as well made the Texas land at that point. You know, I would have been down for it. You know, fly me down there. But nah, it was actually really smoothly run, and it was so entertaining. I mean, the chat was crazy. Some good, some bad. But the competitors leaving it all on the line, emptying out the tank, and really putting on a show. It was phenomenal. It really was.
I like how you said the chat was crazy, some good, some bad. Let's zero in on that a little bit, because when we take a look at the teams, like we said, we had some good, some bad performances. FaZe was, you know, notably in the spotlight throughout the tournament. That was our spotlight last week. We were all over FaZe, right? We wanted to know, how were they going to do? Are they a super team? Did the question get answered last weekend, Tony? What do you think about FaZe and their performance?
You know, were they a super team during the online super?
Were they a super team?
To be honest now, I'm right there. And we shouldn't be surprised. FaZe looking how they looked in scrims, how they looked at some of those one-off tournaments, they didn't put their best foot forward. Or they put their best foot forward, but, you know, it looks like they need to come in with a game plan. They need to go into scrims. They need to iron out these details, because it wasn't just a situation where they weren't winning. It was a situation where, they weren't looking dominant. They were looking like the same team. Like if their problem was like they had like an SSG problem where they're overslaying and not capping enough objectives, I would have been fine with that. But that wasn't even the case.
Slays were kind of a struggle,
didn't even. They're losing their pivs. They weren't looking that good as far as the Slays department. It was a bit concerning in pool play. You get taken to Game 5 by Oxygen Esports. Not only getting taken, you get beaten out by Oxygen. You get 3-0'd by Cloud9. It was really bad. And then in bracket play, they did figure it out a little bit. I want to say they did look better when they made it towards bracket play. The problem was they were so abysmal in pool play and didn't even finish out in second place that you start off in that lower bracket and you have no chance. You have no chance for error, and eventually they got knocked out a bit earlier than expected.
And some people might be thinking like, we're kind of rough on them, or the fans might be kind of rough on them, right? The chat, like when they're not winning fights, the chat is going in, right? Like they are no remorse. But understand that, first of all, it's FaZe, it's a massive org, but it's the players. There's so much expectation and history behind these players, right? We expect greatness, they expect greatness. I think the big issue that kind of rose up, and it's something we had talked about, kind of coming into the tournament, is just chemistry. Seems to be the difficulty. Tony, you were touting the objective efficiency of Renegade. You're like, watch out for Renegade, this man and his objective play. That doesn't actually seem to be what the resolution is for the team at the moment. Do you remember Sparty had an interview at one point, and it looks like maybe Sparty might be trying to take the objective position, and that's kind of the difficulty is who's doing the dirty work for the team. They're all Slayers.
Yeah, I always said that Renegade's flag game is highly underrated, and I think he's an amazing flag player. Like, I mean, he runs that flag quick. He's always in the action. He's amazing with it. And I think Spartan was always an underrated oddball player as well. So I guess I'm really not upset about the objective efficiency, because it's not even just about the Slays. Not even like they just didn't look good. Yeah. It's as simple as that. The times where they lost, they weren't looking dominant. The FaZe that I know, no offense, Oxygen Esports played lights out. I thought they were great. Big ups to Oxygen Esports. But FaZe should be bullying them. We're talking about Renegade. We're talking about Falcon. We're talking about Spartan. Like, I don't even care game plan or not. Just on sheer dominance.
You're right.
In you winning your individual battles and you playing at a speed that not many can keep up with, they need to be bullying other teams. Look at Optic. Optic bullies lesser teams than them. It's as simple as that.
Right.
And and on top of that, you not only lose to Oxygen Esports, but you get 3-1 by E United. Spartan left E United to join FaZe. Why didn't they just get a god roster back in June? And then you get 3-1 by E United. Like
that
imagine that was on LAN. I want you to imagine that was on LAN and watch YNOT and Spartan, because that passion was crazy.
They would stand up,
if you compare it to a Dragon Ball Z fight, it would have crushed the planet Earth. Between those two.
A lot of passion.
It was it wasn't the best look for FaZe, but I will say, love the fact that Spartan's being humble. Love the fact that the team is saying, look, we don't look the same way that we want to, but we see the potential. The path is there. Now it's up to us to put in the work. It's up to us to put in the grind, figure out what we have to do in order to succeed, and just put it together. You're a couple film reviews, a couple of scrims away from reaching that potential and ultimately looking like the top 14 that we know they should be.
Yeah, and the biggest thing I think is just through Spartan's tweets, we had a couple of them pop up earlier, is just the optimistic mindset that he has, and that he knows that over time they can find that chemistry, they can start to gel with each other. That does seem to be like the difficult thing for them. And Tony, I know you talked about this, bringing 4 main Slayers together on a team. Is that an issue? And you're like, oh, I got no issue with it because they can be flexible. I think it is maybe an issue. I think it's starting to present itself as you can't just bring 4 main Slayers together. Somebody does have to change their play style a little bit so that other players can glow and do what they want. And I think the biggest thing that I had gathered from Spartan's interview is, and he was touting Renegade and his ability. I think he said Renegade was the best in the game, and he wants to allow Renegade to do what he wants and shine, so he doesn't have to be that OBJ-focused player, which means Spartan is trying to shift the way that he plays and adapt with the team. And that's the interesting thing with this team, is there's going to have to be some shifting, some adaptation, some chemistry, and the timing, the builds. And I think they'll get their groove. I believe in them still. Tony, maybe it's just too early to tell, but it's interesting, to see that, and then to see so many other teams start to prosper, a big one being G1. While you've got FaZe kind of struggling, Everybody's talking about this Boo Boo revenge tour, Tony. We got to talk about G1.
I mean, I want to talk about him. I mean, when I was talking about G1, it was early on. You're talking about G1 already on an upward trajectory. You had Squall on the team who has been lights out, has a great fundamental shot, always shoots in a high percentage as far as accuracy. You have Swish, we know what he's going to bring to the table. Right. Swish is a phenomenal player and has been for quite some time. You have Dev, we're going to bring back on the show, who I've said multiple times, it is criminal how underrated he is. It's so crazy how anytime he's stuffing the stat sheet, he's doing what he has to do, and we don't talk about him enough. I'll have him on the show later on. And then they had Tony Two Church on the roster, who was great. You bring in Boo Boo Doo, and it's just something just clicks, man. He's obviously the IGL. He's such a smart player. Eli says he's the best skewer player in the game. No wonder why they're so damn good on Catalyst. And it's just, I don't know, man. When he joined the squad, man, they got a new swagger to them. They were already dangerous, but now going from dangerous to dominant. And G1 is the perfect example of just this game. Obviously, you have to be individually talented. Right. But if you come in with a game plan, if you come in with teamwork, if you play for your brothers, and you obviously respect but don't fear your opponents, and put it on them, but again together as a team as opposed to individuals, you can find success. Watch out for G1. This is not just a fluke. It's not just a Cinderella story. Right. G1 are here to stay.
And in case you're wondering why we're gassing them so much, Tony, just let the viewers know. If you're under a rock, you missed last weekend. They beat C9. They beat Sentinels. Did they 3-0 Sentinels, or was it 3-1 with Sentinels? They beat Sentinels. C9 was Game 5, down to the wire insanity. If you didn't watch the C9 G1 series, go back and watch it. Find it.
It was a 3-0.
It was a 3 wild, right? Like they
3-0 United. Sentinels took Cloud9 to Game 5 to beat them out.
Just wacky, dude. Unreal performance. And I like that you brought up it's a team game in the end of the day. Chemistry is so important that the individual, abilities that, might have come from Halo 5, let's say, where individuals could perform and kind of almost play selfishly and kind of get away with it. That's different in Halo Infinite. You got to play off the team. You got to be very unselfish in your play and have that timing. The timing needs to be so perfect. So it's really interesting to see that and really just watch that series if you haven't seen it yourself. I got a little tweet, by the way. Just the ending of that Catalyst game was wild. There was footage that I showed on my Twitter of it came down to a repulsor pickup in the end of that game. Apparently, it was as simple as PreDevoNatoR grabbing repulsor, and Penguin, who missed the repulsor at the end, he didn't pick it up. He found himself caught in the hallway with a sword, and Devin, who picked it up, clutched up the game and repulsed away the sword, and they got 2 kills at the end of that to shift things around with like a 10-second timer left on the map. So it was just a unreal close. I recommend you check it out. But yeah, it really puts a highlight on Boo Boo and how much he can bring to this team when he's got freedom. Boo Boo was getting so much flack on FaZe, right? You remember the hate comments for Boo Boo back when he was on FaZe. When he wasn't performing on the stat sheet, everybody would say Boo Boo's the problem. Lo and behold, he shifts over to G1. They have an interview with Boo Boo. What does Boo Boo say? He said that on FaZe, I couldn't play my game. I was so focused on objective play. When I play with G1, these boys, they do the dirty work. They let me do my thing. And now Boo Boo can prosper, and it's like all of a sudden we're recognizing this man is a hell of a talent. So that was wild, Tony.
It was so fun. I put out a tweet not too long ago. On my YouTube channel, I talk about G1 often, and I put out a tweet, and it was just showing the results of the scrims against Sentinels, Cloud9, and Optic. And it showed them winning out those scrims. And all I said was they were looking good in scrims, and I hope that they'll be able to translate that to tournament play. And it was just so funny because I got a little flack about that. Even Frosty came in on my replies, and I'm like, we just keep moving the milestone for G1. It didn't make any sense to me. Like, I feel like, they were doing it in open tournaments, and it was like, oh, it's the open tournament. The big 3 ain't playing. I said, okay, no problem. They start doing it in the scrims. Oh, it's just scrims. That doesn't matter. I'm like, okay, cool. So then they start doing it in online tournaments, $1,000 tournaments here, short tournaments there. Oh, that doesn't matter. It's not the major event. And now they do it in the North American Super, $125,000 on the inline. and what's this time?
Texas.
But it's just online. And my question is at what point in time do we put some respect on G1's name? Do they? What are they going to win? Are they going to win Worlds? And we're still going to go into year 2 talking about. No. I mean, come on now.
It's got to be land, Tony. I hate to say it, and that's Frosty, these top players, they're straight shooters. If you're not winning on land, you're not going to get that utmost respect. And I'm sure G1 knows that, and they're ready to follow through on it. But yeah, you expect to see the counter comments, coming up on Twitter already, like Bound posting, G1 and Optic are about to go up in their, what is it, billion-dollar facility versus billion-dollar facility grand finals. Like, you can tell he's salty as hell about the fact that it's an online tournament. So you're going to hear that. G1, I'm sure they're used to it. Bringing it to land, getting that consistency is going to give them the pure admiration from both the community, which community's already gassing them, and then the pro players as well, which is, that's a bigger deal, I'm sure, for the pros. But yeah, just speaking of that, though, C9 and Sentinels, we'll touch on them briefly, right? We only got so much time, but obviously not as stellar performance as they would have wanted. C9, going down to G1, that's not what they would have wanted to see. I think other than that, their performance was somewhat aligned. I think they won Game 5 with United, right? That was kind of a close shave as well. So G1, sorry, C9 still working out, I think, some kinks with Bound on the team, still finding that chemistry. Sentinels as well. Sentinels, the only team to take a game off Optic in the entire tournament, by the way. They seem to still possess the ability to check Optic, if that makes sense. They can be checked by Sentinels. But did you hear the comms on Sen when they were in the Optic series, Tony?
I did not. Please enlighten.
They're kind of wild, man. Like, they do seem to be struggling. Obviously, if they lost it, they must be. But in the comms, you can hear that level of intensity where the IGLs are kind of conflicting. Like, Snakebite historically has been an IGL, but Frosty's kind of taken over the role more recently. And we jumped into a listen-in the tournament, and Frosty at one point yelled something about going to batteries or something. Like, he got loud at one point, and it seemed uncharacteristic in their comms to have almost like a disagreement mid-game. So it's interesting.
Well, I mean, Sentinels were able to 3-1 G1 in the winners final, so to go in and look so lackadaisical in the elimination bracket when it matters most. I mean, you're talking about you're one round away from making it to the grand finals, and I mean, G1 were looking incredible. They ran hot, and I think just like in Kansas City, the way Sentinels were playing late Sunday, Kansas City, nobody was beating them. I feel the same way about G1. There was only one team in the entire world that could beat them at the end of that Sunday, and that was Optic Gaming. Because I thought they looked incredible. You're riding a high off of beating Cloud9 in Game 5, so you go into that Game 1 feeling really good, and once you win that one, G1 were like, you know what? We can do this. And I think, I think Sentinels played well. Obviously, they beat G1 once, like you said, they took a game off of Optic, who were looking like a legitimate god squad during that Sunday. They if there was any team that looked perfect or damn near it, it would be Optic Gaming. I think Sentinels are still looking good. I think Cloud9 started to figure it out, and I think even though they didn't look as dominant as they did before, you still saw traces of it. You still saw, okay, Cloud9, they gonna be all right.
And that's the thing, is that we can't harp on it too much, because in the end of the day, C9 and Sentinels, they show up at LAN where it matters, right? So, obviously this was not the performance they wanted, but I think more so the focus is, okay, G1 success story. That's where we're looking. Sentinels and C9, not what they wanted, but they show up at LAN. We expect to see them show up at LAN. If this happens again at LAN, okay, we revisit the discussion, we open it up, we talk about roster mania, things might start changing. But as long as it's online, you know what I mean? You can't hold it too heavily. Let's see how Sentinels do Champ Sunday come Orlando, C9 as well. So, okay. Next is G2, Tony, because we got a lot of success stories throughout the tournament. I think G2 is definitely one as well. When we look at the standings, it was Optic first place, second place G1, you had third place Sentinels, fourth place C9, fifth, sixth was, I believe, it was United and G2, right? G2 pop it into top 6, and a big part of that was Barcode is a king of the game, and the fans love this guy.
What is he? Amani Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh! King of Games?
Just diffy,
He's King of Games. All right, Bark. I would challenge you to a duel. Optic Gaming obviously looking like a damn near perfect roster. G2, if there was two teams that we were looking at towards the beginning of the season that didn't start off hot, that we were damn near worried about, I would say it was G2 and SSG. G2 almost became the laughingstock at that point, because you look at their ceiling and you look at the results that they were putting out, and it was just too much of a disparity between the two. There was way too much room between their floor and their ceiling. But then eventually, G2 start to figure it out. They have Rami on their team, and they finished during the Opens. I think they finished third place during one of the Opens. Looked really good. Rami gets signed to FNATIC. What do? The very
that.
player that FNATIC drop is Envor. They say, Envor, would you mind filling in for a bit? He says, sure. And they still do well. And then eventually, G2 pick up Barcode. Oh my gosh. Dude, Barcode's a stud, man. Yeah, G2 came into this tournament with barely any practice whatsoever.
Five
I think maybe
scrims.
four. Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say 5 scrims. I apologize.
Yeah.
5 scrims. And
That's
they
all
had the mindset of, Barcode, you just do your thing. We're gonna play around you, and at this point, anything that happens for this is just ice on the cake. At this point, we're gonna go out there, we're gonna have some fun, and whatever we put out, we're going to watch the film, review it, and then figure it out from there. But as of right now, let's just go out there and treat it like a learning experience. And I thought that was great. And Barcode, speaking of learning, taught us that he's not only dominant ANZ, he is one of the better players that we have in North America as well. Watch out for Barcode. He's the real deal.
That's the crazy thing, is he really is the real deal, despite the small, Australian scene that there is, and that you'd expect, understandably, the level of play to be lower if there's just less people playing in the scene. But Barcode, he is up there at world status in terms of skill level. It's funny because we gassed him last week. Now we're just gassing him. It's a weekly, Barcode gas segment of the show, apparently. But
welcome to the Barcode and Shyway Show.
The Barcode and Shyway. I talked to Coach Callis, G2's coach, about it, and Callis said he is the exact player we needed on the team. Like, he's got the individual skill and knowledge, but the biggest thing is he brings good vibes, and he has a growth mindset, which I think is so important for these young players on the come up, is listening and wanting to grow and improve with the team, and not letting, because there's a lot of young kids who are very skilled, not letting that kind of get the best of your ability to interact with others and to learn from others and grow as a player. That's so important, I think, for him, and it's why I think G2 are starting to gel really well with only 5 scrims. That said, the pros are gassing him too, Tony. We have a little clip. Let's play it real quick. I thought it was kind of funny. It's Optic, Formal, and Lucid reacting to Barcode playing in the tournament. He hits a nasty couple kills with Commando. Hopefully we can get it up. And, oh, here it is. Okay.
Trying to stop them, otherwise this game is going to be done and you go into a game number 4. Someone is in position. Yes, okay, they do temporarily stop it. Nip gets the kill. 2 go down on the side of KCP. 3 go down. 4 go down. It's a triple kill for Barcode, and a last-ditch attempt from G2 to keep this game alive.
27 for Barcode here and now, but they got to play perfect. They got to get more slays in their favor, and there's just some beautiful Commando shots on the Taluk to
Barcode
swing numbers in his team's advantage again, but you got to get near the hill. You got to make sure.
Oh my god.
He's nasty.
This guy's gross.
Shutting down Nick as well. This Commando, worth its weight in gold, looking like a power weapon in the hands of Barcode.
Look how aggressive Barcode's being here on these stairs. Gets another kill.
Look at the time.
Still being scored, and this is going to be tied up 3
Oh my god.
And G2 right back into a senders to a 7th.
So when you get gas from Formal, it's real, right, Tony? I think. But here's the clip one more time. The work with the Commando here, he is shredding people flawlessly. Tony, any thoughts on this?
Like you said, Barcode's incredible, and you pointed out. I talked about his. I talked about the vibes. Yeah, because I got to meet him in Raleigh, my first time meeting him, and he was absolutely. He was just had this big, damn near goofy grin on his face the whole time, and every time he was in the room, like, he just has a good aura. Like, you just smile because he's just such a good dude. And then on top of that, you also, Callis said, he fits the mold that G2 were looking for. G2 needed an entry frag player like Sab to go along with them, to like duo run with them, and Barcode just simply fits. Love the clip, love what Barcode brings to the table, and even look at his kills right there. He has 30 kills. Meanwhile, second best is like, 23 on the opposite side for Talik, 19 after that. The dude is dominant.
I wanted to thank you for bringing it back one more time, because there's one little moment I wanted to just kind of point out. This is my Shyway analysis segment of the show, Tony. I'm so sorry. If we speed it up a little bit, it's really just the moment when he goes to the box. Okay, we're good. See the position he hits this curve slide from? On the back of the box, off the side, off the back of the box. So smart that he just did that. Highly recommend you guys work on that and apply that. He managed to complete the slide. He was ready for a shot the moment he came through that doorway, as opposed to sliding off the other end of the box and running into like a melee trade. It's a nerdy just shot. Anyway, little things like that I think make all the difference, on top of his accuracy and just the fact that he's a laser beam. But some great movement right there too. Anyway, Tony, I'll stop gassing. Barcode, I know we're already pressed for time here. So FNATIC, coming out of the tournament, obviously FNATIC did not have an ideal performance. I think out of all the highs that we had, FNATIC, it's hard to really got to call a spade the spade. They were the lowest performer, I think, in terms of expectations. They didn't win a single series. I'm not sure if they won. Did they win a game? Did we confirm that?
They definitely won games.
They won a few games, right? Yeah.
I know Incognito 3-0'd them, but I want to say that during the pool play, which I'm actually checking on right now, I know they lost to Envor's new team, who was going by Forbidden Fruit, which is crazy. They drop Envor, then he gets his revenge, but they did take one game off of them, and that's it. Okay. They took one game off Forbidden Fruit.
And Garrett called Tools Cast. He called that the leftovers team. By the way, that's was that Tony from G1? That's Envor from FNATIC. That's Hysteria from Complexity, and who was the last one?
Arctic
from G2, right? Like just put them all together.
Exit, yeah.
Oh, it was Exit. Okay, so players dropped from different, arguably dropped whatever or left. Come together, make a team, and then that team beats FNATIC. So just rough spot for FNATIC, and in response to that, it looks like Super CC unfortunately is allowed to explore other opportunities along with their coach Strobe as well. FNATIC looking to pivot. Hopefully they find greatness, right, in an interesting spot. I think this roster, they've had some ups and downs, Tony, a lot of potential with the players. Not sure how I feel about the selections, but I mean, any thoughts before we move on?
I mean, I was a big fan of Super CC. Sorry, my dog's going a bit out of control right now. Sorry about that. Good. I was a big fan of Super CC. Love what he brings to the table. I think he's incredible at just staying alive and evading damage. Why we call him Super CC evades. He evades damage, and he has an act ability to stay alive. And I really loved what he brought to the table. I know no matter where he goes, he's going to find success. But I think FNATIC needed a change. And so somebody had to take the hit. And in this case, it was Super CC and Strobe. And, and it's just like in sports, sometimes a change in the, change in coach in the locker room, it doesn't have to do with the actual, team itself. Like, for example, I think Mark Jackson for the Golden State Warriors was a phenomenal coach, and they were finding excellence. But something needed to change. You bring in Steve Kerr, who just as good, maybe arguably better, and things start to change around. And same thing, just move around some players, shift around, and it's not even a skill set issue. Strobe is a great coach. Super CC is a great player, but it just wasn't mixing properly. It just wasn't mixing the way you wanted it to be. So something had to change, and I'm sorry for those two. I'm sure they'll find greener pastures or a next step.
I wonder how much they'll change. If that's the end of it, they'll just simply add another player, another coach, or if more changes will happen, because a lot of changes are happening in the HCS space, Tony. The biggest one, and the sad story as well, is KCP leaves Halo. We got to talk about this, touch on this. They put up a video earlier in the week. I recommend you watch the video if you guys haven't seen it. It's touching. It's definitely going to pull on the emotions, the heartstrings a little bit. The KCP gave a lot to Halo. Tony, we years ago casting, no, was it 2 years ago, casting Esports Arena, 2020, Halo casting Esports Arena, when we probably started working together, was when KCP came together. I remember Fung 4. The boys were called Fung 4.
Yep.
They got picked up by KCP some point in 2020, and that's when we got to see that org start to represent Halo 5 and beyond and put a lot of passion, with the team and their efforts, and that's all displayed in the video as well. But, Tony, just a huge hit, I think, to our scene right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm surprised. KCP obviously were investing money to Halo long before, we had this resurgence into Halo Infinite, going all the way back to Halo 5, and, I'm not sure if they're seeing that money back. I could probably say I'm 90% sure that they're not seeing that money back, and it's tough, Any esport, any organization, you have to invest a lot of time, a lot of efforts, a lot of resources, with ultimately no guarantee of getting that back. And Pioneers had to look at it and decide that this was the road they wanted to go. And you guys know, if it was up to me, I would have parted the Pioneers. Obviously, I would have given the partnership instantly. Sure. I think the best way to go about it, in fact, would have been, instead of denying them, I think the best way to go about it was, even if they didn't meet the exact criteria or metric, put out a public statement saying they didn't meet the metrics that you were looking for. However, based on their loyalty, based on them signing that team, offering a salary, then eventually upping the salary to match the marketplace once Halo Infinite came out, based on them activating an entire city in Kansas City and bringing a hometown crowd, a hometown favorite that the likes of I've never seen before in Halo, and even that partnership with the Kansas City Royals to have that boot camp, which was revolutionary for the esport, especially for Halo. Right. I say you give them the partnership, and or some kind of secondary level of it, and say, hey, look, use them as a beacon, use them as a role model for any other tier 2 orgs, any other organizations that want to walk down the path of KCP. We will reward you. I think that would have been great, even though they didn't meet the exact. I'm guessing they didn't meet the exact metrics what they were looking for. I think it would have been great to use them as a role model going forward for other tier 2, tier 3 organizations.
So I think the biggest thing, and this is something that they made very clear on their Twitter, is obviously they were unhappy about not getting partner, but that wasn't the reason why they didn't leave. That wasn't the reason why they left. Jeez, they obviously. I'm just repeating myself at this point. The biggest thing was transparency, right? That was what they brought up in their video, and that's what I recommend you watch and you'll reveal, is that we just need to from this 343 side, and obviously Tony and I, we commentate. We're going to be careful and choose our words carefully. I think it's fair to say that transparency is very important in this ecosystem. The KCP, the org, felt like they didn't have a route towards partnership. So it wasn't necessarily about, whether or not they get the partnership. It was about, continuing to invest in this space and believing that it was going to eventually lead to a return for them. And they didn't get enough to foster that belief, basically. So, Tony, well, I agree with you, maybe partnering them. I think the biggest thing would be, what can 343 do to increase transparency so that there's more faith in these mid-tier orgs so that they continue to invest in the scene, even though they might not get partnership. I don't think KCP necessarily expected it. I think understandably, if you look at it from 343's perspective, it's a business. In the end of the day, a business needs to make money. And from what we're hearing, obviously we know nothing. This is all speculation. 343 logically would want to go after big fish. The names that are being thrown around right now are 100 Thieves. People are throwing 100 Thieves around. Like, if you think about it, let's say 100 Thieves is in Halo Esports. You think about how much money that would bring into Halo. Even if you're not a Halo fan, you're buying those skins, right? They probably look sick. Like 100 Thieves from a merch side, they sell so much in that category. They have a massive reach. So understandably, they'd want those bigger fish. I know Moist Esports was one that was thrown around. We know Moist Critical, right? Charlie, clearly a Halo fan. That might be an option as well. So you can understand from the perspective of 343, like, there's got to be a return on investment. It's a two-sided relationship. KCP are a much smaller org. They don't have as much to provide. If they did have skins, then not too many people outside of the small pocket of Halo Esports, know who they are. But like you said about having like a tier 2, that was something that was brought up on Twitter by Martin Ohms. Martin Ohms is a Halo tournament organizer. He works with, he runs Greater Toronto Halo as well. I work with him sometimes. He's a great dude. He has a tweet, I don't know if we posted it earlier, where he's talking about a tier 2, something that's done in Rainbow Six, where you get less perks, but you get some perks, and that is enough to incentivize, more mid-tiers kind of getting involved. I think that's a great idea, honestly, Tony.
I do as well. I would love to see a multiple tier system, and maybe in the future we might still see that. As of right now, it's kind of a you get everything kind of package, and that's what we're looking at right now. But I would hope in the future there is some kind of road or path to getting to that ultimate goal of getting that full partnership, and whether it be like a half a partnership or a tier 2, like you said, I think would be a great incentive and something to look forward to down the road. I would love that. And damn it, if I don't care if it's an emblem, weapon skin, a signature, whatever it is, if there was a KCP anything, I would have bought it immediately.
Yeah. So it's a tough spot, right? No doubt, it's a blow for the Halo community to see something like this, and hopefully we don't see more of it, right? Like, we got a lot of, I want to say top tier, mid tier orgs that are bringing a lot to this scene that it would suck to see them go. I think G1 right now are 100% in that spotlight, right? They bring a lot of positivity and encouragement to Halo. They're obviously money for players as well. Mid tier orgs is incentive for more players to play. Obviously, you get more players in Halo Esports. G1 really being exemplary, I think, right now. You got Oxygen Esports as well, Shopify Rebellion, Blackhand, Native, Status Quo, right? There are a lot of different orgs still in Halo that you'd like to see bolstered and incentivized to continue so that we see more orgs join. So transparency, and I think this is something that's echoed in so many different areas of Halo in the community right now, is hopefully we see more transparency. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We had unfortunate little PC crash that intercepted the show mid-conversation there. Tony, of course, really just to kind of wrap it up, of course, KCP, they bring a lot. They brought a lot to Halo. It's a shame to see them go. I would hate to see more mid-tier orgs go. Hopefully we see more incentive for these orgs so they stick around. And I'm just more and more curious about who's going to get partnered at this point as well. What are you thinking, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still excited. You know, I still want to see the likes of a big or like 100 Thieves or a Liquid come in. Because I'm just saying, man, if I got 100 Thieves BR, 100 Thieves AR, I'm down. I'm ready. Maybe a little complexity action or something. You know, that star, Dallas Cowboys type of star. I'm down with that as well. Either way, no matter who it is that ends up coming out, I'm excited. And I already know that. I often open up my wallets for HCS skins. I usually buy almost all of them. So no matter what, I'm going to be spending lots of money soon.
I will say that SoulSnipe is already shopping around, right? He had a tweet saying, hey, 100 Thieves, do you have a team? And apparently, interestingly, I know KCP or Pioneer said the org has them as like an unrestricted or the restricted FA for now. So I think they are still going to offer as much support as they can until they do find themselves a follow-up team. So cool to see SoulSnipe, you know, reaching out to 100 Thieves. Honestly, if I'm Nate Shot, if I'm 100 Thieves, they are a pretty damn solid pickup. They have the performance, I think, to back it. If you're looking for the tournament performance, right, like KCP has it. Tony, if I'm thinking, though, if I'm 100 Thieves, I'm thinking of somebody like Pistola as an option as well. Like, I'm wondering where that man is. Or Miquin, right? Pistola, Miquin, do you build a team around them? Do you take a gamble on like a young gun like Collect? I know Collect is on SSG. I know we've talked in the past about, you know, whether or not, how that's going. We don't know. Hopefully it's going well. But if for whatever reason he doesn't stay there, you know, do you grab like a young gun like that, try to build it around Pistola, create some kind of new God squad? That'd be an interesting option too, I think, for 100 Thieves.
I'm down. I think McWin and Pistola. First of all, we all miss Pistola. I haven't heard a single person come out and say I don't miss Pistola. We need a Twitter, a video, a matchmaking, something. But Justin, where are you? As I say that, I have them locked in my basement. You already know. I stand them up like Eminem. I got them locked in my basement. I'm keeping them for me.
Pretty sure that's illegal, Tony.
And me. I don't have anything in my basement, but I would love to see a reunion with Pistola and McWin, and like you said, grab two young guns. No matter who they are, they're gonna find some success. I'm down. I'm buying the skin twice, in fact.
Well, you sold Tony, by the way. If any 343 is listening, Tony will buy all your skins. For the record, Tony, didn't you day one buy the entire collection? Like the moment it came out, I bought them all too, honestly. I bought them because they took them off the store. They were going to take them off or something, right? Like they had mentioned that. So I was like, oh crap, I need to get them now before they replace them with something else. So I feel you on that. Either way, hopefully we see things look up for HCS, for this community. And I think time will tell. We got Forge on the horizon. We got, modes and content coming out for the game that could hopefully allow it to bounce back. Fingers crossed, Tony. Some ups and downs. The roller coaster has been. For us, at least, as Halo 5 fans, we've seen the depths of it, right? We've seen the lower points. Having Halo Infinite come out, we've gone through a hell of a resurgence. Even though things are kind of lower now, I feel like there's a lot more potential, a lot more bounce back opportunity for this game, for this franchise. So holding out hope, holding out optimism. Where are we at for time, Tony? 6:40. Do we pull... I
think the guest. I think the audience wants to see our guest, and I know I do too. So I know he's gonna be ready soon here because I mean, as we know,
we're getting him ready.
We're bringing in Dev from G1. So why don't we bring it back towards G1, because when we talk about an organization made of great people, ultimate underdogs, doing. Not only what it needs to be done in the game, but also out. I'm talking the film review. I'm talking the grinding. I'm talking about, even holistically. I mean, they had a bocce chef come in. What the heck was that about? They got masseuses in there. They out in the gym. They're out here doing the things. So just doing everything you need to do, both in game and out, in order to, you eventually, if you walk and talk like a champion, eventually people start thinking you're a champion, and they're doing champion-like things. I love G1. I'm sorry, I do.
I mean, me too. I'm a fan. You got to shout out Kenny, I think, for that, right? I just checked out Kenny's Twitter. He had I think I was looking at his pinned tweet, the video that he has. Just this man's focus, right, on like lifestyle around the game, I think is pretty damn inspiring. I see, Eli the Sensei going through the workout kind of grind transformation. That is so important. I think often neglected in esports is your health, mental, physical health outside the game. there's a heavy focus on that with G1, and I think the results we're starting to see as well. And it's cool to see Boo Boo join that org also, because Boo Boo, you know, historically, he's a very, I want to say, not like a health fanatic, but the man runs, right? He does marathons. He's bringing his own kind of, mental composure and experience into this too, which I think fits perfectly with the squad on multiple levels, right? Obviously in gameplay too.
We're out here talking. I'm sorry to interrupt. We're out here talking about it. Boo Boo Doo passed us a raid. Dev is ready. You know what?
Let's go.
Let's talk to him. Let's hear it out of the horse's mouth. Why do we bring in Dev of G1? By the way, thank you so much for the raid, Boo Boo Doo. Appreciate it. And let's bring him on the call. I'm ready.
Let's do it. Oh. All right, he's in and out. The moment we got a stable connection with Dev, we're gonna jump. We're gonna bring him in. We're gonna keep trying. This is, hey man, you got to have perseverance, I think, when it comes to these to these types of things, Tony. But G1, obviously, I think the big celebratory kind of point of this tournament. So, understandably, we had to get somebody, right? Dev has a lot of history in this community. Tony's been around a long time, since the beginning of Halo 5, maybe even before that.
Yeah, and when it comes to talking about this roster, oftentimes we talk about G1. Obviously our eyes draw immediately towards Boo Boo Doo Boo. Swish has been, a part of the league for quite some time, and always on the cusp of becoming a pro, but now has really found himself on an established team like G1. Swish is the real deal. Oftentimes Dev, and one of the main reasons why I reached out to him, wanted to get him on the show, was oftentimes he flies under the radar. I'm sick of it. We gotta start it again. I said it before. It's criminal, the fact that we don't talk about Dev and how underrated he is. Because you look at the stats, he checks off every box on the stats. He has a great winning mindset. He comes in with a good attitude. Like I'm a big Dev fan. So that's one of the reasons why I want to get him on, because we don't talk about him enough, and I think we need to put some respect on PreDevoNatoR's name.
I mean, even that clip that I showed on Twitter a few days ago, Tony, he clutched up the game right there when he picked up Repulse, took on a 2v1. That was the reason why they won that C9 series. I know it just came, there's a lot of other elements that came into the victory, but that one moment was critical, and the man iced up. So stuff like that wins you tournaments. Hopefully we see that on LAN as well. Like you said, put some respect on the man's name. The best way to do it, perform at a LAN, and I think he knows that. So hopefully we see that too. Still getting him in the the lobby. Thank you, Boo Boo, for the host, too. I'm anticipating the interview. As soon as we get this, man, we will. I know we have a Q&A segment just in case. Tony, do we consider it, or do we wait? We'll hold off. If you guys got questions on the tip of your tongue, you might want to start asking them just in case.
Yeah, throw them in the chat real quick. And meanwhile, you kind of mentioned a little bit about what they do outside of the actual esport itself. They train like athletes, which I love that. As you know, I'm a pillar of good health, a role model for those of you as I eat my deep fried Twinkie in between breaks.
That's the yogurt.
But you mentioned Boo Boo Doo Boo coming in, and with the long distance running, Dev obviously in very good shape. I know Swish has been on a weight loss journey. At one point he wasn't happy with with where he was looking. He starts working out and he starts changing things, and that was part of what made him get even better, I would feel. I'm excited about the G1 facility, because we're talking about
this hasn't happened yet. This G1. Sorry, I'm new to this right now, Tony. Is there an incoming?
Oh no, Tony. I'm sorry. So there's the $1 billion facility that they were
the one that
about.
Bound mentioned. $1 billion facility.
I'm sorry. For those of you who don't know, there's an entire facility for G1. You know what? I mean, I'm talking about it, Dev. If you don't mind, why don't you tell the people a little bit about that facility? Because I know you a fan. They're probably about to be over there next week or something. I don't know.
The facility is really nice, man. Well, first off, can you hear me? Let's test
I hear you perfectly.
We're
yes.
good? All right, nice.
Good.
All right, that thing blinking in the background's been giving me issues today. So let's start off with, if I was at the facility, that wouldn't be an issue. It's really nice.
Right, there you go.
I don't think it's $1 billion facility. I wish it was. Kenny put in a lot of work to make it possible. He built everything from the ground up. He's really a hard worker. We kind of share it with the gym, and we work with what we got.
I love it. I think it's phenomenal, and the videos, the work ethic you guys have been putting in. I think it's great. For those guys who don't know, this is PreDevoNatoR of G1. Finished second place during the NA Super. $125,000 were on the line. And Devin, the boys, really stepped it up. So, number one, congrats on last weekend. Jumping in second place, obviously beating out the likes of C9 and sweeping Sentinels in that losers bracket finals.
Thank you.
If you don't mind me asking, how do you guys feel after the North American Super? If you don't mind me asking, obviously you didn't win it. Optic, got the best of you a bit, both in pools and in the grand finals. How do you guys feel coming off of the North American Super?
I think we feel good. We just kind of worked hard. We didn't really have like high expectations. We just knew it was going to be really good practice. And given the opportunity of what we have, we were able to go to Texas with a lot of the other orgs. So everybody was out there, but we just persevered through any internet issues, some unstable packet loss, which we endured as well at the time. We just worked hard and we tried to make the most out of it, knowing that Orlando is the next big thing.
When you win like that, like when you beat C9 or you're game 5, C9, 10 seconds on the clock, like how are you not freaking out? How is there ice in the veins in a moment like that? And then going on to take Sentinels as well. Like, are you feeling the pressure, or is it just you're just kind of focused going through the motions?
I do feel the pressure. Like it's all in my heart. In my mind, I try to separate the two because I know, like at the end of the day, those situations may never stop as long as I'm competing. But I always feel it in my heart. My heart's racing. My adrenaline's going. But I don't let that dictate what my next move needs to be in game. If that makes sense?
Yeah.
Love that. That was real.
Sounds like a champ. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
I think from there, after the C9 clutch up game 5, just going into the Sentinel series, I think we just had a little bit more energy. We just knew how good we were playing that day, and we just took the most of it.
Now, of course, all of you were playing very well, no doubt, to take that kind of performance. But we can't not talk about this Boo Boo Revenge Tour. This is all I'm seeing everywhere. Everybody's freaking out about Boo Boo going off of FaZe. He got some flack on FaZe. He jumps onto your team. It's the talk of the tournament now. Can you tell us a bit about like how Boo Boo first got into this team? I know you guys teamed back in Halo 5, right?
Yeah, we did team back in Halo 5. Like there's nothing but like brotherhood between Jesse and I. I kind of just did my own thing in life, and that was the reason that we had split up after Halo 5. If it wasn't for that, we probably would have remained on the same team. I wasn't expecting him to get dropped from FaZe the way that he did. Just knowing how Boo Boo's mind operates in and out of game, he always wants to win. He's a very selfless player. So the moment that they dropped him, I was like, wow, okay. I'm just going to contact him, see what he's thinking. I know he's going to have some offers, but if he liked teaming with me as much as I like teaming with him, like it's no question, no brainer. Not to mention we're just backed by great people, great org. Yeah. So that was pretty much that.
That's awesome. And that's the thing is it comes down to the player in the end of the day, right? Like the org can only do so much. The chemistry is everything. So it's just awesome that he would go and he would select that, come for the people. Well done at a Boo Boo.
You talked about what Boo Boo Doo brings to the squad a little bit. Even Eli talks about the fact that IGL obviously is an incredible skewer player. We found that out quick. But what I want to talk about is the fact that you're flying under the radar. I've mentioned it multiple times. We talked about Boo Boo Doo. We talked about Swish. We even have a little bit of talk about Squale. Meanwhile, you're out here stuffing the stat sheet, doing what you got to do in order to win. How do you feel about being one of the more underrated players on G1?
I like it. I mean, I didn't know how much of an underdog I was, but it gives me the opportunity to just kind of like breathe and like focus up on what needs to be done. I don't feel like I need to overstep my 25% that I'm putting in as a teammate. If all 4 members are doing their 25%, things get accomplished. And on this team, I couldn't be more proud of my guys. The way that we come together, especially in like objective game types, to all do our 25%. So although Boo Boo may be considered as a walking, 0.7, I might be sprinting 0.7. But, with our powers combined, good things happen. And I think Swish and Squale just they're just great guys. They're up and coming players, and they've just putting in a lot of work, and I'm really proud of the whole team.
And that's the thing too, is this team's kind of been, yeah, great attitude. This has kind of been a long time coming, because you've been with G1 since I want to say like the start, and it started at like top 32 in Raleigh, and you consistently improved a little bit every time, right? Top 32, top 16, top 12, and now second place. Like, was there anything that you noticed that kind of like, other than obviously Boo Boo joining the team, but like that kind of changed over time that allowed you to continue to improve at such a rate?
I think that, you know, we went through like a lot of roster changes, and we tried to find what sticks, what works best in and out of game. We just feel like that's really important. You know, like I want to be able to sit down, like have a nice meal with you, hang out with you, as well as be like great teammates. So we kind of just went through that phase. Yeah, there was improvement from Raleigh through Anaheim to the Opens to KC. But a lot of it came down with us finding like the right people that were willing to learn, just kept an open mind and a good head about how to approach like a new game. We didn't want to treat it like previous Halos. We wanted to go in with the mindset that this is Halo Infinite, and we need to understand Halo Infinite. And sometimes you might need to update your firmware to get a grip on how the game wants to be played.
Well said.
So,
I think that a lot of people struggle with that, by the way.
I want to follow up so much on that, but I know we're running out of time. So,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, we gonna talk. No, we gonna talk. But I'll move on.
After hours interview coming in.
We got to talk about G1 organization. We see the positivity, the motivation, the motivational videos, the fitness journey. I love what you guys are doing with Eli and what he's trying to do on his grind. How important is that grind outside of the game to that then converts inside? Because this is territory that I've never seen before, and I'm starting to put it to my own life now. How important does that translate over with you, Kenny, and the boys?
I think it's really important. I mean, with anything like in life, I think we all learn one way or another, like that there has to be some type of balance. Too much of anything could be a bad thing. So for us to kind of get our bodies right, it's only, logical that our minds would adapt as well. So it's really important. At the end of the day, I myself might put a little bit more priority on the game because that's what I'm paid to do, and I'm trying to win. So, I might not be all day, every day killing it or working out before any important matches, because if that's not something I normally do, then I try to back down and just have like a really good flow, good balance, and not put any unnecessary stress on my body before important games. But
Right, of course.
when I'm just scrimming, just practicing, playing online, it's always good to just go for a run, go for a walk, get some push-ups, some sit-ups in, go to the gym if you want. Like, just eating better in itself as well.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud that, I kind of have people behind me that are like motivating me to do it. It's really easy for people to get discouraged when it comes to things like that, or feel like there's just no hope or they're too far gone, when in reality you're not. You just need some good teammates to push you and motivate you again. And I couldn't ask for a better group of dudes.
Damn, well said. Tony, do we?
What else we got?
I know you have one more question, but we do have we are running a little low on time, so I don't know if you want to fit in that one last one.
Yeah, let's do it. Really, it's just more about, like you talked about scrimming and how important that is. Orlando's coming up. That's the big thing, right? Like, you guys, obviously, you killed it in the NA Super online. I know that in the end of the day, people are going to pull that card, the online tournament card on you. What does scrimming look like, practice look like for you coming up in Orlando, and how do you feel about your team just coming into LAN for once now with this new roster?
I feel good about it. I don't think anything's going to change as far as our work ethic or our scrims. As long as my internet stays online, then we're good to go.
Yeah.
I want to play as much as possible. I'm really confident in the boys on LAN. We proved that going to Texas and being together and making the playing field even, could benefit us drastically. So I have no question about what we're going to do on LAN. I'm really looking forward to Orlando. I think it's going to be a really competitive event, and we're just keeping our eye on the prize. We're not satisfied with anything that we've done so far, so still got to prove it on LAN. That's what it all comes down to, no matter what.
Right. Don't get complacent. Yeah. Love it, man.
Yep. Exactly.
No way we can call them an online team when this man can't even get his router to work. I brought a brand new one, can't even figure it out. Only I see the blinking lights. It's blinking. Go get it solid. Come on now, Dev. What's going on here?
It's struggling, man. I don't know what's going on.
They got to move you back out, man. We got to put you back in the facility. That was the key, right?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I just got to start looking for properties in Texas.
True.
I think everyone is. It's on everybody's radar, so maybe
like
I just got to look, see what's going on.
Dev,
way,
if we can go all day, I would. We are running low on time. I apologize, but I think you brought some incredible insight. Before you go, are you streaming? Are you on Twitter? Where can we find Dev? We want to know.
Yeah, so pretty much, I mean, my Twitch and my Twitter is both going to be at PreDevoNator or / PreDevoNator. Yeah, go ahead, give me a follow. Just look at some of the things that are on my timelines, and you'll find the rest of the team, the rest of the org, and the people that are involved with Halo. If you guys want to support, I'd give everybody a follow. I think everyone plays like a major part and a good role in building this community back up. So that's all I want to do, and I'm ready to work for it.
Good luck in scrims, the future tournaments, and obviously going into Orlando Worlds. I'll be rooting for you. I know Shyway's a fan too, we're looking forward to what you guys put out. Thank you so much, Dev. You have a good one.
Thank you, Deb.
I appreciate you guys having me. Later.
G1 of the real deal, Tony. They're looking damn good. I wonder, how much farther could they go? Because what I'm thinking now is, now that they got second place, if I'm Sentinels, if I'm C9, I'm coming in with a different mindset against G1 now, right? You're prepared for a beast. Not that you wouldn't always be, but
I mean, yeah, I think it's no doubt that G1 were finding success to begin with, adding in Boo Boo Dubu, and now they're looking and acting like champions. So I think no matter what, whether you're a believer or not, they're still going to command respect, and you have to prepare for them.
Yeah, and I think that's really a good way to kind of wrap up the show today, Tony, is, of course, the NA Super happens. We got some high highs, unfortunate lows this week as well. Sorry to see KCP leaving the scene, and hopefully we don't see more of that. But I think at the end of the day, you've still got orgs like G1 with that upward trajectory, and hopefully we see a lot more of that keeps the esport interesting, keeps it competitive, because I do agree. I think Orlando's going to be competitive as hell, right? Like, the meta continues to evolve. These players get better. Their timings get so quick and so consistent. You're looking at Optic and how dominant they were last weekend. Tony, imagine if every team played like that. We're looking at like Super Saiyan levels of Halo competition coming up just end of September, and then October we got Worlds. The things to look forward to.
Yeah, and guys, I'm excited. Every Friday we do the 6 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you guys are here. You're not going to want to miss out. It's going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah, I don't think we had time for any kind of a Q&A today, unfortunately. We'll try to squeeze them in as much as we can, of course, just 1 hour shows. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. That's episode 2 of the YNOT Shyway Show. We'll be back next Friday. Till we see ya. Actually, we have a tournament coming up right after this, so don't go anywhere. I think I got to kick Tony off the show. I got to get Clutch in instead. I was told he's the better commentator. It was actually you didn't make the cut, Tony. I'm sorry to say. No.
Fair.
We're gonna miss you. You're probably gonna be back Monday, I assume, or very soon. Either way, Esports Arena will continue. We got a tournament coming up shortly, so don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We got a short break. We'll be back with some Halo action.